Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a little chat about something that was just bugging the crap out of me the other day. I was in the car listening to some music, and we'll get to which work momentarily. And it occurred to me that there are some pieces which have optional vocal parts, which are just vastly superior without the voices, even if they were originally vocal music, because there's something just wrong with having someone sing that stuff. I'm trying to put my finger on it, but I think you can help me as well as I can, and I know you will have some of your own, or you may disagree with some of mine, so it would be sort of a fun topic for a chat. So I have 10 works in this list, 10 works which are technically vocal, but which are really much better if you leave out the singing. And that's, not a common thing. It really isn't. Let's see if we can find out why they're better if you leave out the singing. Work number 1, Prokofiev, Lieutenant Kijay. Now, most people know Lieutenant Kijay from this suite without voices, but the original film score, and technically the suite as well, was written with voices. Some of those numbers in the middle there are songs. And the songs, it's so irritating. First of all, why is it irritating? Prokofiev scores the tunes, the melodies, marvelously without the voice. And I think having a voice singing them just distracts from the beauty of the melody, quite frankly, because you have to listen to somebody saying something in Russian, which is fine. But what they're saying is just asinine. It's like a woman is like a doorknob, round on the outside and hollow on the inside or something. It's like, a woman is like a doorknob, round on the outside, and she's hollow on the inside. And, I don't know. That was my English translation of that song. They're just awful. Awful, stupid songs. And the tunes are so marvelous. And I would so much rather imagine the Troika or Kijay's wedding. Right? It's so much more fun than to have someone singing some ridiculous lyric. So that's one of them that I think is perfectly vile if you include the words and the singing. I know people will disagree with me, but, who cares? It's they're wrong. I'm right. It's okay. That's the way it goes. Next, this was the piece I was listening to in the car. This was making me insane, as it always does when I hear it with voices. Borodin's Polovtsian dances, or the Polovtsian dances, whichever you want to call them. The Polovtsian Danse number 2 by Borodin. So many of the world's best loved melodies were actually written by the great masters, like these familiar things. You remember the commercial? Right, never mind. They didn't sing it in the commercial. Oh my God, it's irritating. And the irony is that, the musical Kismet, Kander and Ebb, or whoever it is who did those things, it's okay when they sing those tunes. It's not so bad. It really isn't, because they're songs. They're supposed to be songs. But here, what is the problem with the Polovtsian dances? The problem is the choral parts suck. They're just horrible. They're not interesting. The chorus almost never gets the tune. They're just in the back going, like that. And they drown out the melody. And that's really the problem. I mean, and when they could do something, like at the end, when it's going, cha, 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 hey, cha, cha, you want them to go, hey, or something. But they don't. It's just awful. It's absolutely awful. They're just thick, heavy, texture clogging, color diluting, inessential noise critters in the back. And it makes me crazy. I was so pissed because I want to hear the music. I want to hear the tunes. I want to hear the great orchestration. Tovey, the great Donald Francis Tovey, made a very, very astute observation when he was talking actually about Debussy's Sirène, because he said that he hadn't had the opportunity to see what happens when a wordless chorus comes in, because, he said, we are hardwired to expect words. The minute we hear a voice, as soon as a human voice intrudes on an orchestral texture, no matter how dense or how much louder it is, we focus on it and everything else becomes accompaniment. The voice, by definition, is foreground, and the accompaniment, the music, everything else that's going on becomes background. And that's unquestionably true. It's a fascinating psychological phenomenon. But if you listen to the Polovtsian dances, that's the problem. The chorus comes in, you know, and you don't pay attention to what the orchestra is doing, which has all the musical substance. The chorus has no musical substance. To that extent, it is probably defective aesthetically, which is surprising to me because, but, it made me nuts. So that's number 2. Number 3, Grieg in the Hall of the Mountain King. That's another dysfunctional chorus part. It's all in one note. The orchestra's going do 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 da 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 da, while the chorus is screaming at you in Norwegian. All they're saying is kill him. Kill the Christian sucker who insulted the Mountain King's daughter, whatever the word is. And a lot of the choral writing is like that in Peer Gynt. Again, I think, it was a theatrical score, and I don't expect that the standard theatrical chorus, which is running around on stage doing whatever it's doing, dressed up as little trolls or whatever, is going to be all that adroit, nor is Grieg going to write a fugue or some fabulous tune. There are beautiful melodies and beautiful songs in Peer Gynt. Solveig's song is gorgeous. Those are lovely. That's not a problem. But the choral parts, and I love In the Hall of the Mountain King. I mean, that was like one of the first pieces that they taught us in music appreciation in grammar school. And I fell in love with it then. And just to have that wonderful tune blotted out so that this chorus can yell on one note, it's horrid. Absolutely horrid. So when I hear the original incidental music, which has the chorus parts back, I always get very irritated. And some people like to put, the choral parts back in performances of the suite. It's like, no, don't even think about it. So that's number 3. Number 4. Oh yeah, Tchaikovsky, the 1812 Overture. That beautiful liturgical hymn at the beginning. Well, it is an actual liturgical hymn, as luck would have it. And, Karajan and some other people put chorus parts there. And I think Ormandy did it too, with like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir or something. Why? What on earth is the point of that? It's completely awful. I mean, the whole point is the universality of playing it without words. Putting the words back, I don't know, somehow it just detracts from everything that comes later. Because what comes later isn't really a reaction to what happens initially, to that liturgical tune. It's something else entirely. And so when you have the singing there, you just are going like, what is that? What are they doing? Why? What does it mean? Who cares? What are they saying? And, maybe they sing, God Save the Emperor at the end too. I mean, there's all kinds of tunes that you could sing. I mean, someone could sing the Marseillaise if they wanted to. I mean, you could do all kinds of stuff with the 1812 Overture. But don't you think the 1812 Overture is like big enough with the, the entire, bell population of a city and the cannons and the brass bands and the militia? And you don't need to have a choir singing for no reason whatsoever. Of course, that is not the most horrible thing that's ever been done to the 1812 Overture. You may recall Charles Dutoit's recording. Do you remember that? That I was looking forward to because, Decca, Montreal, everyone was telling us sonically state-of-the-art, fabulously wonderful. And they did this horrible thing. They added a synthesizer instead of the band, and it sounded like a merry-go-round. It was like a calliope. At the end. It was the most awful thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Destroyed the whole 1812 Overture, and it didn't have to have a chorus to do it. So there are other ways to ruin the 1812 Overture, but one way is to add that useless chorus at the very beginning. Absolutely worthless. So that's that one. Next, here's an interesting one. This one will really get you. Sousa, Stars and Stripes Forever. Now, I know everybody knows the words to the big tune in Stars and Stripes Forever, the fake words. Be kind to your web-footed friends, for a duck could be somebody's mother. Be kind to the denizens of the swamp, where the weather is very, very damp. You may think that this is the end. Well, it is. That's the one we all learned. Well, it turns out that Sousa wrote words for that. Not just for that, but for the whole rest of the march. He had different words, horrible, cheap, tawdry, patriotic words. Just the rah-rah, the American flag, the red, white, and blue. I don't mean that, to be disrespectful to the American flag. I mean to be disrespectful to the horrible words that Sousa came up with describing the American flag. Well, they speak for themselves because no one ever sings them. Ever. I mean, I've never heard them sung. I mean, I guess maybe somewhere, somehow, somebody might have done it with the words. But the irony with Stars and Stripes Forever is that those words are so atrocious and so completely unnecessary that nobody ever bothers to do them. At least I don't think they do. I mean, it may be somewhere somebody did. There was the field artillery one march that has, over hill, over dale, da da da, ba da ba ba, as the caissons go rolling along. That one was has words that you actually sing in the march, and that's okay. It's a wonderful tune because he borrowed the tune. But Stars and Stripes Forever? No, 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 no. You can go look up the words if you want. I mean, it's kind of funny. And pray that they never catch on and that no one ever sings them regularly. That would be a real bonanza, and preserve Sousa's reputation as a writer of music rather than as a poet. So after that, what else? Berlioz. Of course, the Grande symphonie funèbre et triomphale. That has a thing at the end, a chorus at the end. And the tune is a good tune. Da 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 dum ba da 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 da. I mean, it's a good thing to do. I guess it conveys all the patriotic fervor, just like Stars and Stripes Forever does, without words. And because it's French, you know what the word is. It starts with gloire, or pardon me, gloire, because it's French. And I remember seeing it live, and they had the chorus. And of course, the thing's trucking along just beautifully. And all of a sudden, these people jump up and they go, gloire! Oh, no. Please don't. It's a completely ineffective chorus. It really is. Totally, utterly unnecessary. And it just wrecks that whole ending because it prevents, for the same reason Tovey always said. It prevents the orchestra from asserting itself, and it makes you want to listen to the words, which are asinine. So what's the point, right? So that's another one that just is horrible when people use the chorus at the end. It should never, never be performed that way. Berlioz should be ashamed of himself. Next, this is a real whopper. Mussorgsky, A Night on Bare Mountain, or on Bald Mountain, depending on what you want to call it. Now, Mussorgsky wrote A Night on Bald Mountain like 50 times. Originally, it was just a tone poem, and then he wanted to do something with it, and it's a witch's Sabbath, so he stuffed it into his unfinished opera, Malada, and then he turned it into a dream sequence, a completely unnecessary dream sequence, in Sorochinsky Fair, which is also called Sorochins Fair, or Sinstinsky Fair, well, it doesn't matter. He threw it in there with chorus. And it's just like the Polovtsian dances. It's this useless choral nonsense that just destroys all the fun in the music. I guess if you have, and not only that, it's got, it's a witch's Sabbath that has like demonic stuff. So it does kind of what Berlioz did in The Damnation of Faust. It has, nonsense syllables in some infernal language. Well, if you're going to use nonsense syllables, why use them at all? If it's nonsense, it's nonsense. Take it out. Let the orchestra do it. It's so much better. So much better. But sometimes, there have been recordings with the choral version of A Night on Bald Mountain, thereby demonstrating quite conclusively that it never, ever, ever should have had vocal parts grafted onto this fabulously evocative music. It's just fantastic music, and all the more fantastic when people are not singing it. So there's that. And then we have, oh yeah, sure, Sibelius, Finlandia. Ugh. I mean, it was for a while the Finnish national anthem, I think, for like 10 minutes or something like that. It's very short, right? This is my homeland. This is my native land. I want to take a sauna, then jump in the lake. I don't know, whatever the words are. The point is that it's too short. I mean, it's just 6 minutes long, basically 7 minutes if you're pushing it, right? And then you have this like chorus come out of nowhere. For what? What's the point? Why get all those people together? They're singing for 30 seconds. And then again at the end, briefly. I mean, yeah, it's extended. You can extend it and make it like longer and more bombastic. But why would you want to? It's perfect just the way it is. The way Sibelius left it orchestrally. But it was his most popular piece, and it is a patriotic piece. And like most patriotic pieces, like Stars and Stripes Forever or the Grande symphonie funèbre et triomphale, people have this great idea. Let's give it a patriotic chorus, because that can only make it better. Well, I suppose it is better for certain patriotic occasions. I mean, it depends on what the circumstances are, right? I get it. But a patriotic occasion is not a musical occasion. And that's the key, isn't it? In all of these, in all three examples of those three patriotic things, the Berlioz, the Sousa, and Sibelius, the words are there for other than musical reasons. And when that happens, then you know that they really don't belong there if you're only considering musical reasons. Right? So after Sibelius, well, this one always got me too. Scriabin, the Poem of Ecstasy. But wait, you say, there are no words in the Poem of Ecstasy. That is true. There is no chorus in the Poem of Ecstasy. That too is true. But there was a recording. It was on RCA with the Frankfurt. It was a Frankfurt Radio Symphony, I believe it was, conducted by, who was it, Kitaenko, or one of those Russian guys, who decided to gussy up the Poem of Ecstasy just before the ending, before that big climax when the violins are going, ya-da-da, ya-da-da. They're moaning in post-coital bliss, and he decided to throw in a wordless female choir. Just there. Just where you least expect it. Oh my gosh, I was in such shock. I was like laying down, reading a book, letting it wash over me. And all of a sudden I hear, and I sat bolt upright. What the hell is that? So of course I go running to my little score. No, it's not there. It's not even optional. He just stuffed it in there. He just added a chorus because he could. And it was a stupid idea. And hopefully no one else will ever, ever, ever do that again. The Poem of Ecstasy, let's face it, folks. The Poem of Ecstasy is as tacky and excessive and sweaty as it comes, without having to actually add the pornographic, subtext, making it like shoving it in your face. You know what I mean? I don't need it. I don't need the graphics. I get it. I get what it's doing, and it does it very, very well without any help. So that's it. But for one, there is one left, and it is the most idiotic of all of them, I think. It's the original version of the Sasson Danse Macabre. Now, the Danse Macabre was a song for baritone and orchestra, or baritone and piano as well. Sasson, arranged it as the Danse Macabre and expanded it and did some things with it, to enlarge it a little bit. It's another one of those things with the stupidest words. Oh my God. It's zigga zigga zee, zigga zigga zee, zoo 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 zoo, zaga zaga zigga 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 zee, zaga zaga zoo, ziggy ziggy zee, ziggy ziggy zaga ziggy ziggy zee, in French. But with this zigga zaggy ziggy zoopy, it is absolutely. You know why he made a symphonic poem about it? because it is no reason that it had words in the first place. I mean, the words don't help. It's so much better to just let your imagination run wild than to have some guy pointing at you going zig, zig, zigzaggy, ziggy. The little skeletonies are jumping around and the little ghosties are ghostying around. It's so juvenile. It's absolutely embarrassing. And so, I mean, there are recordings of the original, and you can hear it in all of its unbelievably obvious silliness, or you can listen to the Danse Macabre, one of the great tone poems of the period, and it's marvelous. It's absolutely marvelous without the words. So much better. So that's my list of 10. I am sure that you may have some pieces as well that you think would be far better without the words. But I will ask you to do this when you come up with your list. These are not just pieces that you imagine would be better without the words. Please only list pieces that you can actually hear without the words, or you can compare, so that everybody can listen and sort of jump in and give their own opinion. Because I think it's kind of an interesting topic. And it's not like saying, well, I think Verdi's Requiem would be wonderful without the chorus. No, that's not the point here. The point is works in which the chorus is optional, or the voices are optional, and it's a bad option. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.